So good evening, everybody. It's really great to see you, and thank you for those of you who are here tonight and also people seeing this later on. Tonight we're going to be talking about the things that stop us from really living our passion and our purpose. We always hear, do what you love and the money will come. And sometimes we believe that and sometimes we don't. But we all want to believe that we really can live the life of our dreams. So tonight I'm going to talk about the 6 real steps, pillars, if you will, on how to get there, how you can transform your life, reinvent your work life in particular, so that you can create a career that you really love and that has prosperity and that also brings a sense of fulfillment because you're making a difference. And even if it's a few people's lives, you're really helping to transform the world for better. And I'm also going to talk about the 10 real kind of gremlins that really get us and stop us from living our soul's purpose. So come on in and enjoy. We sit back, relax, have a tea. We're going to get through. We got a lot of stuff to share today. Thanks for joining us. So I want to start just to ask a question. What does your dream job, your dream career look like to you? Something that a lot of us think about, and how does that really fit with your big vision of your life? I have, when I started looking at kind of a laundry list of things that I wanted to have in terms of my career, and so things I've always been looking for. So things like, passion in my work, more freedom, to be more authentic, be who I am, creativity, make a difference, continually learning, express my own unique gifts, perform at my best, have some adventure, and even travel. And so, is this possible? That's kind of the question that a lot of people ask. And I'm here to tell you it really is. And I'm just going to start by just telling you a little bit about my story very quickly, because I was like a lot of people where I was in a job I actually really loved, and it was quite fitting in terms of the work that I had been trained to do in marketing and business. And I'd even started my own business in like 1999 and ran that and grew that business until 2009. And then at that point, I had a family, 2 little kids, and a husband, and I moved to Montreal. And then shortly after the market crashed in 2008, my business had a real hit. And at the same time, I had a personal crisis in my life where my husband was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And then after 18 months, he passed away. So I was left with trying to figure out, what the heck am I going to do with my life? Where do I go? And so I had 2 little kids at the age you can see on this picture. They were really quite small. And I was a real solo parent, no more sharing with anybody, no like divorce where you go from one house to the other. I was it. That was all. So I had to figure a way to earn money, to look after the kids totally on my own. And also I was determined not to go back to the corporate world that was becoming, what I saw over the years, more and more toxic. And so I had to figure out a new way forward for me. So I really looked at how I could find a way to really express my greatest joy and my true soul's expression. And I found a way to do that. I found a way to not only do work that I love, but also to help people in the process, and even be able to travel the world. I hold retreats and bring people to far-flung places of the world. So I'm living a life that I just absolutely adore. My Mondays I love as much as my Fridays. And I think that when you can make your life such that you really don't want to go on vacation, you want to take people on vacation with you and your clients on vacation, that's the ultimate. So let me talk a little bit about you now. What about you in terms of where your journey is and where you want to go? I find that there's a lot of people that come to me for different reasons, different kinds of shifts. So the first one is people are usually often looking for a way to get back into the workforce. They've either had kids that are at such an age that they have more freedom and they can go back in, or there's a financial need. Maybe there's a divorce or separation, and they're not sure about if their skills are relevant anymore. Sometimes I have clients who haven't been in the workforce for 15, 20 years, and but they still have some demands at home that they need to be able to juggle. So they're kind of trying to figure that out. There's other people who are at the other stage of their career. They're more into the 50s and 60s, looking at kind of a retirement age, but they don't want to completely disengage. And they want to still have a sense of meaning and connection and still make money, but not the way that they've been doing for years, which is 9 to 5, commuting, stress, that type of thing. There's also people who are looking for a little bit more balance. They love what they're doing, but they're just finding their whole life is consumed by their work. And so that's another reason why people come to me and need kind of a reinvention, if you will. And then there's the people who really need a reboot. And this is a large portion of the people I see these days. They're burnt out, they're in toxic environments, and they're on a stress leave, and they really need to escape the kind of work that they've been doing, come back and do a reboot. And then finally, there's people who really dreamed of either starting or getting their business to another level. So they're at that time where they need to kind of shift and reinvent themselves. Now, one of the things that's pretty cool is that the research now, there's more and more research into doing work that you love, work that's aligned with a sense of meaning and purpose, and that gives back. And also you can make money doing it. But the stats are showing that when you start to move in that direction, it actually can help improve your well-being, your sense of your emotional well-being, your physical well-being, and even your longevity of life. And more research is showing this. This is just one piece of research here. But when I've looked into and you'll see some of the research on my website, the benefits and some of the research that are supporting things like living happier and longer. So staying engaged past 65 is really important, as well as even when you are younger and you have kids, if there's a way to stay even partially engaged while you're raising your children. There's a lot of research that says you're more resilient. Obviously, the abundance, when you don't completely leave the workforce, there's prosperity. Also helps us stay creative and inspired. And it helps our self-worth when we feel like we are contributing to society and we feel we're doing it again in a way that's aligned with who we are, then that really gives us a great sense of ourselves. They're also, when we're working more aligned, we're more effective. We get it more into the flow. Work is easier. We're not always pedaling uphill or rowing uphill. So we perform at a higher level. So I work with clients that are in corporations as well and leaders to tell them about this. If you help your staff understand what their passion, their purpose is, and you help align their roles and their work that way, they'll actually in the long run perform much higher. And finally, there's a sense of self-realization. As you evolve and learn through expressing your greatest gifts and your passion, you start to evolve yourself. So there's a lot of reasons. Somebody asked me if they would, maybe be inspired today. If these are some actual facts and research around the benefits of living and following your passion. And so, the question becomes, why do we not do that? What happens to us where we stop? And I love this this quote by The Alchemist, which is really that at some point in our life, when we're young, we know all this. We totally know this. We just follow our passion. We just get lost for hours doing something that we love, whether it's drawing or building or playing in nature. But as life goes on and we get older, we kind of lose that. And so what I wanted to talk about is some of the reasons why we get off the path tonight before we talk about the steps of getting back on the path. Because what I found is if you start talking about the steps on how to get there without at least addressing the blocks you may have, as soon as an idea comes up, you kind of go, well, no, can't do it. New idea comes up, oh, it's already been done before. So as soon as those things, as you try to move forward, those blocks come in the way. So that's why I actually talk about the myths or the blocks first before we get into, not to let you down, not to get you down, but to really just realize some of these things that get in our way. And also to recognize that these are human, this is the human condition. You're not alone in some of these feelings. You'll see some of them, you might go, oh yeah, that's me. I would probably I would bet $100 that there's going to be at least one in here that relates to you. And in most cases, there's multiple ones. And certainly they relate to me now, in the past, and probably will for the rest of my life. So that's why I'm sharing them with you, because these are some of the things that I've experienced. These are some of the things that I've seen my clients get really stuck on. And it's absolutely a shame when you look at all the benefits of living your passion and purpose to get stuck. So we want to work on that. So the first thing I hear from people is, you saw all that kind of laundry list of things that I wanted for my life, and probably you want for your life as well. And people just right away say it's not possible. It's not realistic. Leanne, be realistic. You can't get everything you want. And so more and more we're seeing with the law of attraction that we can create our own reality. We don't just have to wait for life to happen to us. Now, nothing is perfect, for sure, and it's always a bit of a give and take. But if it's so much more giving than taking in life, then, we get very depleted on an emotional and physical, psychological level, and even energetically. So you really are meant to be living vibrantly, alive. That's when you perform at your best. That's when you give the most to the world. So the first step in any kind of new beginning is really being able to imagine that it's possible. The next myth really is that people will say to me, I don't really know what I want to do. And so there's two sides of things. There's people who have lots of passions and they don't know how it all fits together, and which ones could go in terms of their career, which ones are really more for simply for them. And there's also people who really haven't done a lot of self-evaluation and inspection to really know what it is they love and what really motivates them. And there's also the third part, which is, in some way, we all know what we are here to do. And there's inklings, there's dreams, there's imaginations, there's stories that really resonate, there's movies that you see that you go, wow. And those are all signposts. But what happens is that little gremlin comes on and says, you can't do that. And then you go, oh, I don't know what I can do. Because all these possibilities are in front of you. And yet, you've been told by, your mother's voice, your father's voice, your teacher's voice in the back saying you can't do it. So then you go, okay, well, all these things I want to do, but I can't do them. So I'm confused. So sometimes when people say to me, I'm confused, I recognize that it's really not lack of where they want to go. It's those gremlins. So we're going to talk about a few more of these gremlins. Here's one of them. One is that people will believe they can't make enough money doing what they really love. And that's a real myth that I've seen broken many, many times. First, it's our culture has a mentality that we're very much of lack. And we also believe that certain kind of jobs equal lots of money. So artists, the starving artist or the spiritual person who really can't make a lot of money. But if you look at, or musicians or whatever, but you can look at any one of those categories and see people who are really successful. And when it comes down to it, again, you can look at what are the things that made them successful. It starts with believing in themselves, having a mindset that helps them, having mentors, working on the things that stop them, having skills, all these things that they are successful, made them successful. So in order to make money doing what you love, first, it requires you believing it. It's second, work on a mindset of abundance and not of lack. And also that there's so many ways to work. You don't necessarily have to make your passion work your whole work. And Zena's on here, and she's someone who has multi-passionista, working two different sides of two different types of businesses, and both of them are growing, and both of them are feeding her passion and feeding her wallet as well. So there's lots of different ways. It's not just one track anymore. Also, we find that a lot of people will say somebody's already done it before. They've already figured out, to be this kind of coach or this kind of chef or this whatever. And the idea, you imagine if Steve Jobs had said that about the cell phone back in the late 90s. That, the cell phone's already been invented, BlackBerry already perfected it, there's no more opportunity. Well, look at what's happened. They saw a new way to bring their uniqueness out, and now BlackBerry is gone and iPhone is in. So you can point to thousands of different examples of that where people didn't let that idea that there's other people that have already done that and that there's competition. And in reality is when you do something and bring your uniqueness into it, you create a whole new category. Just like Apple created tablets and iPhones and iPads and all these categories that were spin-offs of something that we kind of knew, which was a cell phone. And that's what happens. So you actually go from not splitting up one pie, but creating more and more pies. You think about back in the 90s, how much we spent on our devices versus how much we do now. That's a real argument for the fact that the pies have been more and more and more and more and more pies for the different companies to split up. And it's the same with your business as well, or your career. And also is that people will often say to me, not only will I not make enough money, but I don't have enough money to get going, or I don't have enough time or energy to put into this reinventing myself or looking at a new way of doing things. And it's almost like you don't have enough time not to do that. You know, if you're really busy and you're going crazy, you need to be able to reinvent yourself in such a way where you can make the time. Because think about what value you're getting from all this busyness. Is it always serving you? Or is there an opportunity that you're missing in your life and in your work that could generate more income in a more pleasing way to you? If you had the time to be creative, if you had the time to be coached and find out and learn some of these things, and you know, what are the various options for you also financially? There's different ways to pay things. There's different ways to invest. You know, if you, let's say you want to start a business, there's a million different ways that you can start a business with very little and move forward that way. So not having enough time or money, it's really more of a commitment that you need to say, I do want to change, and I will make that commitment to myself and to my family and to my community that I want to grow. Another one that I hear is I'm missing a certification, skills, training, you name it. Or it may not even come out this way. It's like, I just need that one more natural path certification or whatever it is. And that's great. I think that I really believe people should be always learning and always earning and always growing and always returning. But at the same time, recognize that most of the time you have enough, especially as we, you know, get along in years and we've had experience, practical, professional, we can take a lot of that and bring it out to the world and get started and start making money so that it can pay for some of these, this education. The idea is really to see where the wisdom gap is, where you want to go and where you are, where you want to go, where you are. What is the gap there? And what is it that you need in order, not just to fill a confidence so you have a certification you can tell people, but more that, yeah, that's what I really want to learn, and I really want to bring that to my customers. And then it's to phase that out, saying maybe I don't need to do that starting out, but I'm going to do it in year 2. I'm going to bring in that certification because that's going to bring me to another level. And number 7 is something I hear a lot, but it's only after getting to know people quite a bit of time, because people don't usually admit to this. It's the imposter syndrome, that I really haven't figured this X out for myself. So maybe they're a health coach, maybe they're a spiritual coach, or maybe they are a financial or business consultant, and they haven't made millions of dollars, or they are not 100% healthy themselves. But what they don't recognize is that usually what you're drawn to the most is what you need to heal and learn yourself. So I needed to learn about how to live my purpose. And I hadn't got it all figured out. And certainly I don't have it all figured out now. But I continue to grow and evolve and learn. And I've amassed enough learning now that and I did many years ago to be able to bring people along with me. And it's same if you're a healer, for example, and you may not feel like you're 100% healthy, but you've overcome things and learned things that other people will benefit from as well. So to get rid of that idea that I'm an imposter, how can I coach people on this? I don't have my life perfect. I can't be a life coach. Yeah, but you've probably overcome some things that other people haven't, and you're going to grow as you help others and you continue to learn. Number 8 is this idea that I have to just jump off the cliff and leave my job. That's really scary for a lot of people, and it can be really risky, and I don't necessarily always recommend it, because then it requires you, for this new venture, whatever it might be, to return money quickly, because we only have so much savings. We don't want to drain the savings, or we may not have very much at all. And so then we're like trying to get a job drastically and then we don't get the right job, or thank you, Zena, or we are trying to start a business and we don't have everything set properly to be able to start reaping the rewards from that business. So we jump into things and try to reap them and get the yield very quickly. Businesses do this all the time to their detriment. They try to get the quarter earnings and get them really fast, and get the shareholders happy, but then it ends up not being very sustainable for them. So there are different ways to work, and maybe work a little bit less, do a sideline business, that type of thing. And again, I don't have the time or money, but you'd be surprised when you actually start to follow your passion. It clears the way, it clears your energy, you find yourself lighter, and you find the way to do it. Number 9 is that really this idea that once I start this new venture, let's say I want to get to another level in my company, or a new type of career, or starting a business, that I won't have time for my family or myself. And again, starting things take quick commitment and so forth, but really it's also an opportunity for you to, in designing where you want to go, look for that balance. That's what I had to do when I became that solo parent, is I had to find a way to do this, to look after my kids, so I had no choice, and to earn money. And I didn't want to give up on my dream of doing it in a way that was passionate and gave back. And so I'm here to say you can do it as well. And then the final one is our own personal beliefs about ourselves and even about money that hold us back. So often I'll hear someone say, yeah, I'd like that new job, but it requires sales and I'm just not good at sales. Or, I'd really love to start my own business, but I don't know anything about social media. Or, I'm too old to learn something new. Or there's, others out there are much better than I am. And one of the things I hear a lot, especially with people that are around the retirement or in retirement, is they feel invisible. As soon as they're out of a job or lose a job, they feel invisible. So it's really these beliefs that we have that we're not invisible. Of course we're not invisible. It's just that either society or our interpretation of how society is reacting to us is making us feel that way. So these are the mindset that we really have to work on. So that gives you an idea of all of kind of the myths, the things that are really holding us back. Now what I'd like to do, before we break, if you don't mind, I'm going to go right through this, and then I'll answer questions a little bit later on. So if you do have any questions, you want to write them down, please do that, or you can put it in the chat and I'll see them in a few minutes. So what I want to talk to you about is, okay, now we've listed, and I'm sure you've clicked off or checked off a couple of those myths yourself of what you see in yourself, what may be holding yourself back. Now it's really, what are the steps to really living our true passion? And over the years, over the last 9 years in particular, when I went searching, I went as far as Bali to figure this out. I went to San Francisco year after year after year to conferences. I did a lot of soul searching. I have a whole library of books that I've read. I'd be on the internet. I've worked with dozens and dozens and dozens of clients, all to try to understand what are the steps to success. And one of the things I don't say is it's 6 simple steps. All the marketers tell you, make sure you tell them it's really simple because they won't buy into it. But I'm here to say it's not simple, but it's absolutely doable. So it's really about, these are the things that in order for you to be success, you follow them, and little by little you go deeper and deeper. You start at a level and you just keep improving. And anyone, like, again, I'm picking on you a little bit, Zena, but you started a few years ago, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, on this new venture of becoming a chef, and 4 years. And little by little, the first time out felt like maybe a little bit less comfortable, but each year comes on and her programs get better, and she gets better in social media, and she gets out there. And that's it, not to expect everything to be perfect on the get-go. And so that's part of the lesson here when we talk about these 6 principles. And for those of you who know me, I love trees. So this is my perfect icon for the trees. So these are, whether you call them the steps or the principles, they're basically the same idea, that we really need all of these aspects to be in the forefront and moving forward. So understanding ourselves, building community, having a vision. The vision changes and evolves over time, but still always making sure that's front and foremost. Always about self-mastery. We're always personally growing. We have to become the career that we want to attract. And so that's very much about self-mastery. Designing. You can't design your career or your business without a blueprint. We don't build a house that way. So how would we design our career? And then we create masterfully. Okay, so I'm going to take you through these 6 steps and some of the details and some of the processes that I go through in each one of them. So self-knowledge, that starts with first knowing ourself. So how do we create and attract a job or a career or a business when we really don't know ourselves? I see this all the time. People will sit down with me for first coffee and they'll say, you know, I thought about this. I'm going to start this franchise and I'm going to start this online networking and I'm going to do this. And I'm like, well, how does that relate to who you are, your background, your experience, what you love to do? It's like, no, but I'm going to make money. And I know, you know, Fred made a lot of money doing it. And I really think, and if you go with the first vision of trying to make money, as opposed to this is what I love, this is what I'm good at, this is what really brings meaning, this is what I'm designed to do, then you're going to have a hard time sustaining it. So it's really about getting to know yourself. And there's something that I teach throughout all of my programs is something called the 5 power practices. That are the practices that we can do ideally on a daily basis, if not on a weekly or monthly basis, to bring us back to ourselves, to bring us back to our own wisdom. I call them first awareness, being aware, and then I'll take you through a little bit more wellness, wisdom, wonder, and attraction. Some of you who have been to some of my retreats and workshops, you know we go in deep on some of these practices. How do we do those in our lives? So we need to have that insight to know who we are and know as we evolve too, because we're not static. So let me just take you through 2 parts of this self-knowledge. The first part is that the 5 power principles. So that's about having an awareness practice, a mindfulness practice. I can see sometimes my computer says that the link is not that stable, so I hope it works for you. So, you know, some of the mindfulness, yoga, those kind of things that help us bring us back to ourselves. Being well, having a physical, emotional, energetic, even environment that's healthy and well helps us to create something in our world. If we're not, it's very hard for us to create. The wisdom that exists within us, to be able to tap into that, and also the wisdom that surrounds us and within the universe, within books, within our mentors. Something that we've gone so far away from as adults is wonder, being able to be playful, curious, have full of gratitude, connecting to nature, and be in awe. That brings back our imagination, our innovation, our joy. And then attraction, that's being in alignment with our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions to our highest potential. So those are our practices. Those are things we call them practices because we have to do them on a regular basis to get better at. People say to me, I don't know how to meditate. I'm not good at meditating. No one's good at meditating, going out. And I'm years and years meditating. I'm still not good at, but I practice it. I practice yoga. I fall off. I come back on. So these are things that are part of our lives that help us to get to know ourselves, because that's the fundamental principle of living your passion purpose, is knowing who you are and being healthy, being in wonder, always tapping into your wisdom, and being aligned in attraction. The second part is my proprietary process, which I call decoding your soul print. And this came from the work that I used to do in helping organizations create their vision. And it starts with understanding what is your purpose and what is your passion. And I'm not going to go into too much detail here because we don't have a lot of time, but just wanted to tell you the kind of 8 principles of your soul print. So the first part is for you to be really engaged in something, to really be excited, you need to have your passion, what you love to do, but also what brings meaning. The second part, and that's really where your calling comes in. We hear about, my dharma or my calling. That's where your passion and purpose is. The other 2 elements that are more traditional of a career are where your experience and training and your unique gifts. I'm good at sales, I'm good at connecting to people, or I'm good at speaking, whatever those might be. That's where you perform at your highest level. You need both the engagement piece and the performance piece to be playing in unison for you really to be successful. There's a couple more pieces I want to talk about that most people don't talk about when you're thinking about following your passion careers. A lot of times people just ask you a bunch of questions. What do you love to do? What are you good at? That's about it. And then they stop there. But what about your own personal journey, your own personal story? And can I just ask a question, Zena? Do you see the Google Drive things on my screen? Yes, no? Okay, no, you don't. So that's good. It's coming. There's something coming up on my screen that I'm hoping you don't see, but if I try to get rid of it, it'll screw everything up. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Dana. So the commitment comes from knowing what hurdles you've overcome. What have you learned? And what archetype are you? Are you more of a teacher? Are you more of a protector? Are you more of a merchant? Are you more of a healer? Of someone who likes to build, work with hands-on? Are more of a disruptor, there to change things? And we all have our dominant and secondary archetypes. These are things that we go into a lot more in the work that I do. It's really to see who you are, because sometimes you'd be playing a different archetype because that's what you just happen to fall into. So that helps us to really be more aligned with what we're here to do, and that brings us a sense of commitment. And then finally, where we really have a sense of more confidence is when we're expressing our creative side, where we're creative. Imagine if I tried to sing. That's not how my creativity comes out. I wouldn't be very confident. But my creativity is more in ideas, and I love it. I feel very confident when I'm coming up with ideas and stuff. It's also the same with your work style. Sometimes people are more starters. They start things, but they don't implement. Other people are implementers. Other people are connectors. And some people are specialists. And when you're playing a style that's not you, you don't feel comfortable. So you lose confidence as a result. So this is what I call my decoding your soul print. And this is what I work with people to go deeper and deeper into themselves and learn about what it is, who they are all about, and to really find that place where they thrive. I call it the thrive zone, where everything overlaps. But having said that, we can do a lot of navel gazing to the point where we say, okay, yeah, but what are we here to do in the world? You can't only look at yourself. You also have to look at who are you here to serve. So you have to put that in place of your community. Who is it that you're here for? And what problem in particular, when you understand who you are you uniquely designed to solve? That's a really big question that if we start to ponder that, we can go deeper and deeper. So who is that? Who is our ideal kind of client, partner, mentor, all of those things? And so when we know who that is, we don't waste a lot of time chasing, trying to do partnerships with the wrong people, getting the wrong clients, and even positioning ourselves in careers or a market that we're not really aligned with. And so what I do with people is really help them to identify what is their overall community and how their thrive zone and their soul print fits within that. So they're right stab in the middle. And then the greater market, which includes maybe their competitors, their peers, thought leaders, bigger people in the market, who are they? So that you can again position yourself. Who am I and where am I meant to be? This really helps you to get a sense of your unique snowflake and to be able to express it in the world. This is what leads us to helping us create our vision, our mission, our values, and what our unique approach is. And that leads me to the third principle, which is vision. So we talked about, self-knowledge and insight. Then we talked about understanding who it is we're here, our community. The third piece is really getting clear on our purpose from those steps to our vision mission. And then once we get that, it's identifying the gap between where we want to go and where we are. And the gap is the strategies. That's where all the playing, that's where all the journey is. All the strategies, the business strategies, the career strategies, the personal development strategies that we need to put in place. And if we don't have a vision, we're like often a cup in the wind. We're going from one thing to another. If you find that you're going all over the place all the time, it's often because you haven't got a clear vision. And if you don't know what your clear vision is, it's because maybe you haven't done the self-assessment, the self-knowledge and understanding of who it is that you're here to serve. And so we pull this all together to create a really framework for people to help them understand. If any of you have read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, he talks about the golden circle. So this is kind of an adaptation of that, where just an example of a vision where Apple says, we're here to do things differently, to make a dent in the universe. That's their vision. How they do it is by creating products that are very designed specifically, very special, and simple and easy to use. What they do is create iPods and so forth. So it's understanding from the highest level right down to what you do and then who it is you're working for. That's really what you want to do in this main step. So once you get to that, then the next part is to look really at what is it that I need to master, to grow, to learn, to become that vision. So you can't just be that vision just through willpower, or you can't become that vision strictly by even doing. It's also by becoming. So there's elements of mastery. And so some of the things that I talk about are the 7 characteristics of mastery. And those characteristics are very much more personal development and leadership. And the reason for that is that when we want to create something, it always starts from within. We have to become a leader of ourselves before we can actually create interpersonal relationships that are successful, or lead teams, or then even lead a community or society at large. And the areas that I think that are the most important, what I've seen, are what I call the 7 characteristics. So it's starting with, first, your capabilities. What is your competence that you need maybe to improve on? So is there a skill, like we talked about before, a skill, some kind of know-how, experience that you need to up to become that vision that you want to create? The second C is control, being able to control your thoughts and your negative emotions and your patterns so that you can become more aligned with your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions to what you want to create. Creativity, being able to become more and more creative, using your imagination and intuition so you can get the utmost from the work that you do. Commitment. One of the things I see all the time is people starting things and not finishing. They're not committed to this path. So they have a vision, they're excited about it, but then they let it go. And this requires a lot of discipline, resilience when you fall down to get back up again, and really that continual learning. So I learned from this. I fell, but I learned that I can do something differently. And courage. Courage means not to be fearless. It means about going forward in the face of fear anyways. And sometimes when we can't do that, we have to go a deep level further, is to understand our self-worth. How do we feel in this situation? How do we boost our self-worth? How do we feel good about being vulnerable? And then compassion, which of course starts with ourselves, being compassionate for ourselves, having empathy for others, forgiveness of ourselves and others, letting go, surrendering to the process. This is a really important part of a characteristic. And then finally, communicating. So communicating starts with active listening first, listening to problems that are out there, listening to other people's perspective, listening within, and then speaking in a very conscious way and helping to bridge gaps, bond, and help people to understand and learn. So those are the main 7 characteristics of mastery, including the skills that you'll need in terms of the direction that you want to go. The last 2 things I want to talk about is the design part, which is the blueprint. I mentioned before, you really cannot create without a blueprint. Ask any architect out there. And I know Tracy, who's a renovator on there, I'm sure she has some sort of design that she works with. But we also go further. In that design, and what we want to create is conscious goal setting, that aligns with your vision. That means not only just SMART goals, but goals that you can identify how you want to feel, how you want to be, and then really getting clear objectives and detailed strategies across whatever it might be. So it might be for you in your career about getting a more of a leadership position. So how you need to get goals, you need to set out strategies to do that, and tactics, and who is it and what is it that you need to help you, what team members, resource leaders, processes, systems that you need to get there. So you have to identify that up front, and then identify what your budget is and the detailed actions. So that's a really important piece, and it takes some time to really design. And if you're designing a new business, this takes time. You have to design your processes, you have to design your marketing, your sales, your brand, your product, your pricing, but it's the same in your career. And then the last step is creating. How are you creating? How are you moving forward? How are you taking your vision and then your design and bringing it out into the world? And so are you working with a coach or a mentor or an advisory committee? Are you learning from the success of others? Are you using the best practices? And are you aligning with your own vision and design? Or you just had this vision and then you're starting to do tactics because, oh, someone posted something on social media and thought, oh, that's a great idea, I should do that. Oh, okay, but that's spending your time and energy when maybe that's not really aligned with your vision. And it's about taking responsibility, being accountable. How often I find people who are in my program say, one of the best things about it is that I have to be accountable. I have to keep delivering, as opposed to I'm just like all over the place and I can't take responsibility for moving this forward. Allowing yourself and others to fail, that is really important, because for sure you're going to fall. There's no question about that, but allow for that. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, for example. So when you fall, it's devastating to your life or your family. But also, accept that when people, you see you fall, that's okay, and laugh at yourself, shake it off and move forward. There's also that measuring, because you cannot improve on anything if you don't measure something. So you measure, you watch, and you see, and then you adjust. So those are the overall kind of 6 principles that I really call the principles of thriving, that really help you to move forward in your life, in your career, to reinvent yourself. So here, I'm kind of at that point where I'm going to ask you is that you have kind of like a path, 2 ways you can do it. You can take my recording and you can take all the PDF and really do a lot of this yourself. There's no reason why you can't start on a new path for yourself. There's so many great books out there and so forth. But you also can have a choice of, if you want to, be guided. So learn some of the methodologies and skills from people who've done this before. Access some of the templates and systems that are already out there and designed for you, and really be guided through each step of the way, and be supported in a community. So it's kind of up to you to look at which way do you want to go, if you want to move forward, if some of the things I've talked to you about have really inspired you, or maybe say, you know what, no, that's it, I want to just kind of stay where I'm at. So you kind of want to look at which way for you now or even in the future. But what I want to do is just to introduce you to the idea that there is an option for you to kind of help you with the second option, to really learn the skills, have the templates, the systems, and so forth. And so that's what I call my Career Alchemy program. It's my reinvented program. As I grow and learn and expand, I have more and more, oops, sorry guys. The automation is not working so well. So this is based on a lot of the work that I've done over the years, and it's based on those 6 principles that I talked to you about. I take you through all of the 6 principles. And so essentially what it includes is it includes first a whole online program that has videos, it has 42 lessons and exercises, all to take you step by step through those 6 principles. Also have an online bi-weekly or every 2-week program where we get together like this on Zoom, and I can answer any questions, you can ask them, anything that you're struggling with, or hear from others what they might be struggling you haven't thought of yet. So you really get ongoing for up to a year of that. So it's like 20 different exercises or Q&As. We also am offering in this is a full day workshop. So when you get to a point in your program where you really want to nail everything down, create a really great blueprint for yourself, we do a full day creating your vision book and your blueprint. And then also there's a private Facebook group so that people that have in the past or in the future and currently are working on this, they can work together. And then also I have an incredible network of professionals that help, whether it's in career finding or mindfulness, or helping you become more well so you can create what you want in your life, or web designers, whatever it might be. I can introduce you to a number of professionals that will help you. And then also resources. Not only do I have the course, but there's also different templates. I have my list of books to read, all different things here for you to access. So what I want to do is just maybe ask, as we look at this, just to come on for a minute, if you don't mind, Zena, can you, I don't know if you can maybe just mention maybe your experience on working with me. I don't know if you unmute yourself, if you can just say, just take 2 minutes, because you've worked with me from beginning to end here. Not end, you're all on an ongoing process. So if you don't mind just saying something about your experience, just take a minute or so just to say that, if you don't mind.
Sure. There's a lot I could say, but I could definitely say that I knew already that what I wanted to do a little bit, and I thought I'd take the path of figuring it out on my own and doing it by myself, until one day I decided, okay, I cannot go anywhere else alone. There's a lot of knowledge that I don't have. Sometimes just having the idea is great because you got to start somewhere. but your intuition and your guidance along the way, taking the MBA program for a year and having you by my side every step of the way. It's like going to school, but your teacher stays with you, or she's a phone call away all the time. So even if we learn something and I don't remember, I don't know how to do it, I felt like I always had somebody taking care of me and helping me and guiding me. And so you're the teacher, you're the mentor, and you're all heart, really. So they say, show me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. Well, I thrive every day to be like you. You're amazing. And I wrote a couple of things down, not to forget, but also your community is also huge. My best friends come through you. Also, my God, I'm crying. I'm such a crier. Yeah, so you've transformed my life, socially and business. And I can't imagine not having you with me to go to the next level, because we're on our way, that's for sure. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Zena. That was amazing. I really appreciate it. And Zena started out wanting to teach cooking. And I remember saying to Zena, you're a chef. And she said, no, I'm just a cook. I said, no, you're a chef. And then she stepped into just that idea. She stepped into what she wanted to become. And she did all the things that needed to become a chef. And then the next thing I kept saying, you're a celebrity chef. No, I'm not a celebrity chef, but I want to be. I want to be on YouTube. I want to be. And then she did all the things to become the celebrity chef, and she's on TV now, and she's doing radio, and she's doing all sorts of amazing things. And now the next thing is, what's next? And I'm saying internationally renowned chef. She's doing retreats with us. She does. So she's on her way to that. It's always a, what's the next thing and where are you building towards? And it's all about that, seeing it and believing it and actually being it before you actually are there. And that's, I can't think of another client that more represents that than you, Zena. So thanks so much for that. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to take, if you don't mind, just a couple more minutes just to talk about this program, just a couple of minutes, and then I'll turn off the recording and I'll ask questions. So with this alchemy program, the Career Alchemy program, it actually includes the Thrive Zone recording. So I have all the recordings, all the exercises, 6 recordings, 42 exercises and lessons, all there in a course portal. And the value of that is $500. If you bought that just alone, it would be $500. And I also, the Alchemy Circle, where we'll be talking on a regular basis, connecting for up to a year, that's a value of almost $2,400. And then, and this is not what it's going to cost you. I'm just telling you what the prices of all this is. Do a one-day workshop with me. At the very least, it's going to be $300. So the value of all that is $3,200. But I also providing other bonuses like this private Facebook group where you can interact with me, also ongoing email support, and this network of professionals that Zena alluded to there as friends, as supporters, and also this whole resource. I call it my soul sanctuary of library of things. And so all of that together are worth way more than $3,000. It goes, normally I sell this at for $997, which is, a significant, a third of the price. But right now I have like a special offer going on for $499 for all this. All right, so this is a really great deal. I hope you'll be able to take advantage of it. And if you're still feeling that maybe it's too much for me right now, you can just, for a little bit of a financial charge, you can do it in 2 equal payments of $287. So I really wanted to make it so that you can, if you're thinking about moving forward, you want to do something, the fall is just such a great time of year, any time of year, January is, so I want you to be able to do this, so to take advantage. So if this is something that interests you, you can learn more on my website, and this is the name of the program, Career Alchemy Program. So if you really want to either refire your career or re-enter the workforce or rebalance, reboot, or maybe start something new, and you're committed to move forward, you're committed to spend some time and energy and a little bit of money, then this is the program for you. And it's at the price that you won't get again. So please take advantage of it today. Phone me, go onto my website, email me, anything, want to connect with you to help you to make that first step, to move forward in your life. You know now that you will benefit on so many ways, your wellness, mind, body, and spirit, your sense of joy, passion, and prosperity is all there for you for the taking. You just need to take that step. Thanks so much. Namaste.